Hello and welcome to another episode of From Russia with Minecraft. In this video I will be doing a walkthrough of the Mushroom Palace. The walkthrough will not be very long, I expect, because while there are features inside the Mushroom Palace, there actually really isn't a whole lot to see because this was a project that I started on a whim, and while I did furnish a few of the levels, there isn't too much to see inside, so let's begin. So first thing is I walk in, there's just the ground floor. There's a structure which I will explain on my way out. And, okay, so this is the first floor. The first floor is just my enchanting room. These are bookcases. Bookcases are used to empower the enchanting table. Um, Let me give you a brief demonstration. So, the enchanting table, when you place an item that can be enchanted into the enchanting table, or onto the enchanting table rather, you get a list of the enchantments that you can use. Now these are written in a special alphabet that can be deciphered, like on the Minecraft wiki. There is actually a translation code, but what you get is meaningless. It won't tell you what enchant you get, it'll just give you some platitude, and it's like it varies from one enchant to the next, but there's no predictable or reliable way to say what you're going to get based on the writing on there. So each enchant has a number by it. This number represents the number of levels that will be consumed by the enchantment, and naturally, the more levels are consumed by the enchantment, the more likely it is to be of higher quality. For example, a low-level enchantment might be power 1 for a sword, which would increase its damage, while a higher level enchantment might be power 4, which is a much greater damage increase, and it might come with additional enchantments such as knockback or flame. Um, be warned that enchantments do not always work as you would expect them to, because for example, it's been known, I, I've had experiences where I dumped 30 levels into an item, and then instead of getting something like the standard unbreaking and efficiency, I would just get Fortune 2, and that was it. I would get much less than I expected to get for it, so expect occasional disappointment with this table. But altogether, it's still better to enchant than not to. This is just a crafting bench, and I've got books in here, and then in here I originally had materials for books. What these are used for is, in addition to placing enchantments onto various equipment, you can also place enchantments onto books, which then can be bound to equipment. So for example, if you want to dump a few levels into a book, you can create a book of, say, Unbreaking, which you can then apply to armor or weapons, which don't naturally get that enchantment. So level 2 is my alchemy lab. You'll notice there are a number of brewing stands. These are used to brew various potions. Like for example, let me give you a demonstration. Here's a potion of night vision. The potion of night vision, as it suggests, allows you to see in the dark as though everything were illuminated with daylight. Once it's dark outside, and once I go outside, I will show you the function of this potion. Alchemy allows you to brew a number of potions that range from healing potions to regeneration potions to stuff like night vision or invisibility, and you can also brew harmful potions like poisons. You can brew straight up damage potions, and you can brew splash potions, which can be thrown. So for example, most of the damaging potions or the disabling potions that you want to brew, you generally want to brew them as um, splash potions. Once again, lots of brewing stands. I have more of them than I generally would use at any one time. However, once again, megalomaniac, I like to build large, I like to build numerous. And these chests are primarily for supplies. Like this chest has the main supplies. These are all the supplies that are used in alchemy. This one just has some water bottles, which is the base ingredient, and glass bottles, which are filled to make water bottles. And I believe that's pretty much it. I think I have a few more potions. There you go. Awkward potions are the very basic potion based on which all other potions are brewed. On the third level, I've got my forge. My forge is home to 96 furnaces. Primarily, I've used this to cook stone. When you harvest regular stone, it breaks up into cobblestone, and then in order to get stone once again, so you can either lay down stone or build stone bricks, you need to put it through the furnace. So the way I do it is this. The furnace works in the following way. Here you put the fuel. Fuel can be anything. Most commonly people use coal, but you can also use either wooden items or bits of wood. And you can actually also use lava. For example, my main fuel source right now is lava. Um, Lava is very efficient as a fuel source. While a piece of coal will burn through 8 items, a bucket of lava will give you the bucket back and burn through 100 items. The downside is that you have to stand here and you have to switch it out at one point. Like you would have to pull out some of the pieces as they're ready and then put in new ones, just to keep the furnace will keep going even if there's nothing in it. You just don't want to waste your lava bucket on 64 items and you can cook up to 100. This right here is the item that you're cooking. In this particular case, for example, I do cobblestone, and this is the end result. So in this case, it's going to be stone. So lava goes here, cobblestone goes here, and then stone comes out here. In addition to the finished item, you also get a small amount of experience points from these furnaces. Once again, megalomaniac, I build big and I build numerous. Even though I very rarely use much more than these 24 furnaces right here, should I ever want to, or should I have friends who ever want to, there is a very large facility that can be used to cook a number of things all at once. These next few floors are still open. I might install additional facilities or living quarters, but for the moment I don't have anything in them or anything in particular planned. This room, you'll notice, is home to a very complicated circuit, and I will explain what that does in a little bit in the later part of this video, and I will also demonstrate its function on my way out. Unfortunately, this area in particular has enough dark spots that monsters sometimes spawn, so I have to be very careful. If a creeper spawns in here, he will no doubt try to hug me and then blow up. Okay, so this is the actual inside of the mushroom cap. Inside the cap, you'll notice that the cap itself on the outside is red. I didn't make it speckled because I didn't really feel like spacing out white blocks of wool, because it would have required additional thought and effort, and I didn't want to make it just random because I'm a little OCD that way. Right here you'll notice this is an hourglass shape. I refer to it as the Hourglass of Eternity. It doesn't really represent or symbolize anything. I just felt like building a really big old hourglass with water inside it. Thought it would look pretty. And you'll notice there is what this block right here, that's glowstone. That's harvested in the nether, and it, as the name suggests, and as you can see, it sheds illumination in a decent area around it. Glowstone actually sheds illumination that's slightly brighter than a torch. The trade-off is that, of course, torches are much cheaper and easier to make, and glowstone has to be harvested in the nether. So glowstone is non-renewable, and torches you can grow and make. You can make wooden sticks out of wood. You can actually make charcoal out of wood. So you can make torches entirely out of renewable resources. Okay, so this is the first residential level. This is one of the empty rooms. I plan on building these up a little later, perhaps for some friends, perhaps as additional living quarters for myself. But let me show you my living quarters inside the Mushroom Palace. It is a 2-story suite with some rooms in there and some nice features. So for example, here I've got my living area. I haven't really furnished it with anything, but I was going to put bookcases, perhaps some paintings, just various items of decoration in here. Just a living area. Then as you come inside, you have the vestibule. You've got a little tree in here. I just thought it would be pretty to have one. I had to trim it a little bit, of course, because it was too tall. And then upstairs, you've got my storage room, which at this point actually apparently has some diamond armor in it, which I left there. I actually traded for that diamond armor using the emeralds I'd acquired through other trades. You've got a clock. The clock indicates the day-night cycle. So for example, if you're underground, if you're somewhere safe and you don't necessarily want to risk coming out and getting set upon by monsters, you can carry one of these with you. A very nifty trick that you can actually use is, once you've crafted a clock once, if you go into the menu and if you go into statistics and you enter the blocks field, you can actually scroll down and you will find the clock block which you made. It's in this case, you'll notice it doesn't show up. It's a little different because once in a while, like if you replace the main Minecraft game file, your achievements and everything will reset as though you haven't played the game, even though you have. But anyway, if you've ever made a clock before, you can actually access that clock in your blocks menu, and it'll accurately display the time. So you don't actually necessarily even have to carry one with you, you just have to have crafted one at some point. You'll see there's a bed, another ender chest, once again so I can access the same inventory from a different location, a regular chest with my remaining emeralds in it, and a couple of chests with just some residual construction materials from back when I was building this whole thing. Alright, let's go back downstairs. There's not really much to see beyond this one room, honestly. I haven't built up the Mushroom Palace. I kind of ran out of steam whenever I built the main structure. It actually wasn't until relatively recently that I even plated the whole thing in red wool. Like, until recently, this whole thing was just open sky, so it looked kind of derpy. Upstairs, nothing of interest, just an area that... Well, monsters used to spawn here. I think I've lit it up since, to a sufficient extent that, well, monsters wouldn't spawn too much. Okay, let's go back downstairs and I will demonstrate the final feature of the Mushroom Palace, which involves those redstone circuits. So if you'll bear with me for just a few moments as I run downstairs. Here's the circuitry once again, and I will briefly explain how that works once I've demonstrated it. So, before I demonstrate it, to give you guys a brief aside, creepers are those green creatures. You might have seen me run into a couple over the course of these videos. What they do is they walk up to you and they explode. That's all they do. Their footsteps make no sound, and the only thing you really hear is you hear a hiss for about a second and a half before they explode. After that, they blow up, and then you may die, and if you don't, you take severe damage, you may be flung aside, and there's collateral damage to the structures nearby. An interesting fact about creepers, though, and an interesting thing to keep in mind, is that if a creeper blows up while it's in water, or if a creeper blows up and there's water nearby, nothing behind the water, or if the creeper is inside water, nothing at all, will actually take any collateral damage. So for example, if you're in a lake and a creeper is in there with you, the creeper will blow up, you will take damage, but nothing around it will take any damage. So with that in mind, I designed a shield for the stock of my Mushroom Palace. It is activated by this lever, or the lever just inside. So what it does is it retracts. If you'll notice, you'll see some blocks right there staggered in an ascending formation. What it does is it'll retract some of the blocks and it'll release water. There are water sources behind those blocks. Once the blocks are no longer getting in the way of the water will simply flow all the way down. So let me show you. It may look a little glitchy because it doesn't always refresh properly at a distance. However, there it goes. So you'll notice, like right there's a bit of a refresh glitch. The water does in fact cover that part, but it'll take getting a little closer to it before it refreshes all the way. So there you have it. The Mushroom Palace is now shielded. If I were to take a creeper in here and launch it against this wall, the creeper would, like if I were close enough, the creeper would blow up and it would deal no damage to the building whatsoever because water prevents that. An additional bonus of this is that in a lot of cases skeletons and zombies can get caught inside the shield and they will drown, so you don't even have to fight them, and you can sometimes collect the loot that they drop. It's usually not very significant, but still a nice perk. Okay, so this concludes my walkthrough of the Mushroom Palace, and this in general concludes my walkthrough of the village. There really aren't any particularly interesting structures in the village beyond the ones I've already discussed. There is a wall, but it's pretty featureless. It's kind of like the palisade around my compound, but I built it by hand out of a large quantity of cobblestone. Um, and it's also got crenellations, even though you can't actually patrol the wall, but it's just there for flavor. And then on the western gate of the village, which actually at this point is the only gate to the village, there is also the big Russian flag that you see in my profile photo on YouTube. So let me run over there and just show it to you real quick, and that will conclude my video. These are slimes, by the way. They spawn. They used to be very difficult to harvest because they would spawn only at certain depths and only under very specific conditions. They drop slime balls, which are used for sticky pistons, which is just a mechanism that you use in circuits. Oh, and before I forget, let me demonstrate the night vision potion. So here is the flag itself. I salute you, Mother Russia. Or, whatever. Most of my friends say Mother Russia much often than I ever do. I just usually say Russia. And then here, forgive the lag, is... there you go, is the potion itself. One very useful thing it does is, even if you're in the daylight, if you go underwater, the water will look very dark and murky. If you go underwater with this potion in effect, you will be able to see very clearly. The magnification will be a little different. There'll be a bit of a refraction effect, but you will still be able to see very clearly in the water. So even if it's not necessarily nighttime, you'll have a very easy time navigating underwater with this potion. Okay, so this concludes this video. In the next video, I'm going to do a walkthrough of my cloud home, quite simply because I can do it briefly, and then the videos after that will cover Sky Crown and the Aurora. Alright, thank you for listening, and you all have a good one.